Okay.
And
so now that we're on YouTube, there might be a couple squares that watch us, as they ought to do every Tuesday night at 7:30 Pacific. Hey, Cody.
Hey, Cody.
And hi, Jeff McKinney. Watching on replay.
Before we kick the show off, I just got to say, Jeff McKinney, I'm sitting in work today, and my phone starts ringing, and I pick it up. I see it's a guy that I work with. That usually when he's calling me to tell me I did something wrong. So I'm like, oh, great. So I answer the phone. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, this weekend, it was a really weird weekend. I'm sitting there and I'm looking through Twitter like normal. And all of a sudden, this guy that I follow is talking about, watch this podcast about drinking with Jeff Eccles. And I'm like, wait, that can't be the Jeff Eccles that I work with, can it? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me. I got this podcast. I'm like, who was it? He's like, it's this guy, Jeff McKinney.
Oh, God, that's funny.
So small world, Jeff.
Small world.
Yeah. So, all right.
I feel like Gary Vaynerchuk's my best friend because of Twitter.
Yeah, but he didn't have any wine that smelled like old socks on that episode.
No.
To be honest, I didn't even finish the episode. I was really like happy to see Gary Vaynerchuk put out another episode. But yeah, it was long, Gary. He watches the show. Gary Vaynerchuk. It was a little bit long. I got all these kids at my house, so I didn't watch it all.
All right. I just cracked open my beer,
and
it just sprayed all over my laptop.
Awesome.
So, give me 1 minute. I apologize, guys.
You got to get the dog to clean it up.
You guys, is it cracked knuckle season for you?
I don't have that problem too much.
Oh, I'm getting more like cracked seam at the top of my finger by my nail. That'll just be there for about a month.
It's just awful. It's like the knuckles just get. That's why I've got like all this light washing me out. The knuckles are just like beet red right now. Like it's Eccles, cracked knuckle season for you.
Oh yeah,
like it's brutal, man. And then fucking COVID. That's the worst thing. I gotta wash my hands all the time. I need moisture in my life. Moisture.
Yeah. What do they say? Water, the universal solvent. Just trash in the hands.
Exactly.
They make this stuff called lotion.
Yeah, I use it. It all smells horrible. Then everything I eat tastes like cocoa butter.
And you wash it off every 5 minutes.
Whatever the hell shea butter is. What is shea?
Randy, this is basically what the episode is.
Like, is there a cow named Shay?
I like it.
I have a niece.
I can hang.
I have a niece named Shay.
Well, we gotta ask Shay then.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ring her up and say, "Hey, Shay, what's up with the butter?"
Yeah, how did you get butter named after you?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, oy vey, Shay.
Oy vey.
Oy vey.
All right. Okay. All right, guys, all set. Let me make sure.
Got the napkin. I'm good to go, baby.
I need another one. I just looked up at my lighting is covered in beer as well. They overpoured this can a little bit, I think.
Oh, boo.
I know. It's such a shame. All right. We are recording, so let's do this. Here we go.
At the sound of the tone, the official "We Like Drinking" time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week, on episode 306 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing wine, beer, spirits, and maybe a little pop culture with Randy Meyer of BARRA of Mendocino. So crack open that beer, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking! Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 30 seconds in and I feel like we're already off the rails, so you know you're in for a good episode. So let me kick it off by saying cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 306, your favorite award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast focusing on fun.
Fun.
Fun. We like to have it. We like to drink it. So make sure you never miss another episode of our brand of drinking fun by visiting welikedrinking.com/subscribe.
Subscribe. Who drinks fun?
That's what, when you listen to our show, that's what you do with your ears. You're
drinking it in.
It reminds me of so when I was in college, one of my jobs, I worked in downtown Santa Cruz at a juice bar called Juice World. Shout out Juice World on a hippie corner, and there would rest in peace Juice World. And I swear to you, like when you talk about like drinking fun, it just sounds like, sometimes there'd be folks in there with like crystals, like holding it over like the chromium percolate bottles, like making sure like it was speaking to them before they bought it. It's like, I just want to make sure I'm drinking the fun this time. Like, yeah, man. You guys didn't even know I used to work at a juice bar.
You haven't noticed that one before. That's a new one.
We'll never hear the end of it, I'm sure.
So you've heard some of us talking. So let's find out who we're drinking with and what we've got. We're joined by our California Sustainable Wine Growing Ambassador and recovering wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Hey, everybody.
Our commercial brewer and snake wrangler, John Ruyak.
Hello.
And I am your host and certified specialist of wine, Jeff Eccles. Now, our guest this week is the director of winemaking and operations at BARRA of Mendocino and Girasole Vineyards. He has spent more than 20 years growing his winemaking and brewing skills with brands such as Korbel, Valley of the Moon, and Russian River Brewing. Please help us welcome Randy Meyer. Welcome to the show, Randy.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
So excited to have you on. We've had some hiccups getting to this episode, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But if you're looking to find out more about BARRA, you can find them on their website at barraofmendocino.com and on Instagram at BARRA of Mendocino. That's BARRA. So, when we have a guest on the show, sometimes they send us drinks and we like to have those drinks on the show. Some things didn't quite work out this week. So only one of us is going to be drinking the wine tonight. Lucky Jeff Solomon is banging his wine bottle together. Right now, I just see him exploding and it all just going everywhere.
Tonight, I'm drinking for 3, baby.
I got a few myself hiding back here, too, behind the screen.
Excellent. Randy has some of his own wine to drink with us, so we'll get to those. But before we get to those, let's find out what everybody else is drinking. John?
So I had this wicked cold, and yes, I gotten tested for the vid, and no results back yet. So it would be just not smart to be drinking alcohol tonight. So I'm with my other guilty pleasure, which is San Pellegrino with a squirt of lemon in it. I drink this more than anything else by volume as far as a liquid goes. This is my fallback today. And I just want to let you know it's just a little bit cloudy from the lemon juice in it. See,
yeah.
But it's got a nice clear lime green edge around the plastic of the bottle.
Nice. There you go.
Big timer. That's San Pellegrino. I think that costs more than that wacky water that they sell in dispensaries.
I don't know. I ordered it and they delivered to me from Smith's. It was $4.79 for a 6-pack. It was on sale.
Nice. So since I wasn't able to have the wine tonight, and since we are back on, heading towards more lockdowns here, I'm going to be drinking the local stuff as much as I can. And since it's snowing outside right now, I am going with Pikes Peak Brewing Summit House Stout. I've got a big old crowler of this 7% bad boy. Lots of chocolate. It is a delicious stout that I am looking forward to getting into. So, Jeff Solomon, which of the bottles are you going to open tonight?
I asked our friends in the tavern on Facebook. That's our private Facebook group. You can find it at welikerdrinking.com/tavern. I asked them which of the three wines I should be drinking tonight, because I actually got what I'm going to call a slightly horizontal, maybe it's like a diagonal of Zinfandel in front of me. I have the 2017 estate grown Zinfandel from BARRA of Mendocino. I also have the 2019 Girasole Zinfandel from Mendocino County, and then also, the winner. And it's one of those things, I'm also a teacher, and so I know the tricks of and I'm also a dad, so I know the tricks of laying out multiple options in a way in which the option that I want is what I get. So I kept the Coro Mendocino in the picture. It came in this fancy tissue paper. I kept it in the tissue paper. Everybody on the Facebook wanted to know what was behind it, because y'all are a bunch of suckers for unboxing. Our listeners have the video and audio tastes of a 4-year-old on YouTube. They love the unboxing so much. This is the BARRA of Mendocino 2017. It's a blend of 60% Zinfandel, 32% Petite Syrah, and 8% Cabernet Sauvignon. I want to get into tasting this in just a moment, but I also want to know what Randy has in his glass while I'm pouring and getting stuff set up.
Well, what I grabbed, just because Zin was on the mind, is I figured I would start with the 2017 BARRA Zinfandel, because I love the balance and the profile on that one. And oddly enough, I didn't get my mitts on a 2017 Coro like you did, so you're ranking high today. But I'll probably chase it with the 2019 Girasole Zinfandel, and then we'll just be Zin all the way.
There you go. Hey, I'm nothing if not a one-upper. So I did want to ask, right off the bat, one of the things that intrigued me is, I see the 2017 BARRA Mendocino County, and then there's the 2017 Coro Mendocino 2017 predominantly Zinfandel. Are we looking at grapes grown in the same vineyard? Is there a connection, a correlation between those two wines?
There absolutely is. The Zinfandel that is in that Coro is from the same source up what we call the Bella Colina Ranch, which is a hillside vineyard right near Lake Mendocino, and it makes a real nice, really big blackberry, not like super duper dark, but just, great intensity. And that tends to be the backbone of all of our real highly structured Zinfandels. But the Petite Syrah that's from that same vineyard is absolutely the, mega purple of red wines. I mean, it is insane. It's honestly, having made a few gallons in my life, that's probably one of the more intense red wine and vineyards that I've ever been a part of. It's monster.
Wow. That's awesome.
I was going to drink that but in lieu of my convalescence, I'll have to put it off. Sorry.
Did you got some though?
I did. I get that
good.
for Sangiovese and the Girasole Chardonnay.
Yeah, well, when those taste buds are back to normal, you're going to have to wake them up.
There you go. Brad H is drinking it up too. He's got some Hop Butcher IPA. Hey, on the nose, this Coro Mendocino, it's got and man, I used to be so much more in on my wine game, and it's a note that I haven't gotten on the nose in a while. It's got a really nice very apparent graphite type of nose.
It does. And hey, I'm not going to lie. That wine's got some big oak in it. We, put some top-notch new barrel in there, and it was, we only made, honestly, a few cases. I don't know the exact volume, but it was all hand selected, and it's a wine that Coro project, that collaboration tends to be, you want to bring out your big guns. And, part of that obviously is throwing some high quality French oak into it. And, that gryphitiness can also come from the petite. I think sometimes it can have a little bit of that going on, where, let's face it, Zin is, it's a berry bomb.
Yeah.
But, you get petite and a little Cabernet and a lot of French oak. And I wouldn't be surprised if that graphite sneaks in there.
Yeah, and berry wise, like this is really like this dark, ripe, like brambly, like just like, I remember my buddy and I at daycare, like it was kind of like I lived in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It was like a goat farm, but they had like blackberry bushes like all around the outside of the property, and we used to go picking blackberries. And I'm not gonna say he's smarter than me, but he was a year older. He knew a little bit more about berries. He's like, I'll tell you what, Jeff, I'll pick all the blackberries and you can have all the raspberries that are on the bush. These are definitely, these are definitely friggin' Michael. I'm going to go back to when I was like 4 years old. I'm going to find you and I'm going to fucking kick your, sorry, I should. Look, here's the thing. This is what Michael had. He had just these like super dense, like, slow cooked pork just falling off the bone.
Yeah.
But blackberries
just
falling off like
massive.
That's just beautiful, ripe berry nose. And I can tell I'm gonna like this when I haven't even tasted it yet, and I'm excited about it. On the palate.
It's a chewy one.
This is a beautiful wine. It's got that little bit of graphite transitioning to the palate. These beautiful powdery mouth coating tannins. It's got that structure, not abrasive. And it's got like this really long acid, little bit tart as it proceeds, and it sticks around. This is definitely like, you want to pair this with like a beautiful, like, I don't know, I was thinking about pork falling off the bone, but I would just love like just a big, like juicy, I like my pork chops medium. I'm sorry, everybody. Big or medium rare, actually. A big juicy like pork chop, like slathered in butter and thyme. I could see this with just a big fat burger, and it doesn't even have to be, I would love like a upscale like burger, but even like go to Reno, Nevada, get an awful, and you're going to be stoked on this as well. Those berry notes, there's the much like more abundant with like the darker berries on the nose. On the palate, those berries are there. You are getting some of those like brighter red fruits as well. This is, when Randy talks about it being a chewy wine, like that's for sure. Like this is definitely dense. It's definitely got some weight to it. This is delicious.
It's made to lay down. That's for sure. That's why it's wrapped in the tissue.
Made to lay down. And this is what I do. I drink them early so you don't have to.
I do too.
This is definitely something that you could lay down for a while. This is definitely something that you could enjoy right now. I think it is a steal at $150. And yet, it's much less expensive than that. Like this is what
I thought we might have got you.
What's the retail price on this? Like I'm going through the Rolodex in my brain right now, and I remember it being much lower than that.
You know what? I think I might be able to look up the price, but to be honest with you, I'm not even sure. All I know is it's a hell of a lot cheaper than it should be.
Yeah,
that I'll say.
if when I'm telling everybody it's under $40, I'm telling you, go and get this. Like, this is beautiful. I'm not getting paid to say this. I kind of wish I was, Randy. Elbow. But this is great. Yeah, I'm very happy with it.
It is a cool wine, and it is, there's a lot of a special story behind it. Being a collaboration of all sorts of different winemakers in Mendocino County, and it's kind of a cool project, honestly. Just as a tribute to the grapes and vineyards up in Mendo, and a bunch of winemakers that make wine together, and everyone has their own kind of Coro signature, and we've always tried to just dig deep with some petite, but also have that Zin friendly fruit.
Oh, dude,
that's the 2017 Coro that you're drinking.
Yes,
$38.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We need to get people to come up and visit us. Come on up to the tasting room, give us a call, make an appointment, and we can definitely get a taste or two going.
And Randy,
cool tasting room. You guys got to come see it someday.
And here's really the thing. Trippy. I know Eccles is going to be really mad at me because he's got his fun little game he likes to play, and we're going to do the interview right afterwards. But I just have to ask you right now: do you feel like Mendocino gets the shaft sometimes when people are talking about great wine?
Totally. And I'm a Sonoma County native. Spent my whole childhood growing up there, but when I go up to Mendo, you look at those wines, and I've made, tons of Napa cabs, Sonoma cabs. When you line up, Mendocino against these wines in a blind tasting, they absolutely measure up. And oftentimes they'll win. It's just, obviously we didn't get good lobbyists, or we didn't get the Stag's Leap 1974 Cabernet in France. But, it is a remarkable growing region, and it is a bit, it's a little bit of the Rodney Dangerfield of Appalachians. But you know what? People that know, they get value.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how many of our friends that especially those that are in California are like, Mendo is where it's at, but don't let everybody
party.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure, we're spoiling everybody's thunder by introducing them to you guys. I'm so upset I don't have any of the wine right now. That sounds so good, Jeff. You did good tasting notes. Randy, do you want to walk through something you got, or you just want to push through?
Yeah, well, what I have in my glass is the 2017 BARRA Zinfandel, which comes from the Bella Colina Ranch, of which part of that is in your blend, Jeff. And it's essentially some similar winemaking to what's going on in the Coro, little less oak, but still, all aged in French oak for, maybe 18 months ish. Sometimes a little bit less. I don't like Zinfandels to be, over oaked and aged too long, because they just, you want that real nice berry fruit. But this one, great color, good structure, and that Bella Colina vineyard that I love so much. Just, it's easy to make wine when you got good grapes. I mean, I feel like the guys in Napa Cab, they can just go to sleep and make killer Cabernet with, $20,000 a ton fruit, but this obviously, it comes in so nice that if you screw it up, you don't have any excuses. Awesome. And this is it's an easy drinking, really nice, friendly, but maybe a little bit softer than what you've got there, Jeff.
Okay. Dang. Sounds awesome. All right. So we've gotten through what we're all drinking.
If I want to make Eccles jealous, I might crack this open tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is that, Jeff?
That's the Zinfandel that Randy was drinking right now.
Yes.
Well, Jeff, we'll make sure and get you some, because you can't just go past this thing and without getting any. We got to get you some so you can at least have a Facebook post or something later and let us know what you thought.
For sure. I will make people jealous with it for sure. Thank you. All right. Let's kick the show off a little bit higher gear and warm up the brain cells with a bit we like to call wine, beer, spirit, or pop culture reference. This is where I'm going to give these guys a term, and they're going to try to tell me if it's a wine term, a beer term, a spirit term, or some kind of pop culture reference. The term this week is lagar. So is lagar a wine term, a beer term, a spirit term, or some kind of pop culture reference? Jeff Solomon, let's start on the bottom right this week.
Eccles. It ain't the bottom wrong, that's for sure. Eccles, could you please spell lagar for me?
I can. Lagar.
Lagar.
Mm-hmm.
Lagar. Not pronounced lager.
Not lager.
Not lager.
Not lager.
It's
lagar.
It's not a capital G or anything like that.
No uppercase G's.
No apostrophes.
No apostrophes. No
umlauts. No enys.
No.
No. What's the upside down E? No schwans. Schwa. So lagar. Okay. See, I know this. Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. And I know that we had already kind of acknowledged this a little while ago, but I think Eccles is kind of going back to the well, which he's done on occasion. This is, in fact, a pop culture reference. This is in reference to a fan club, a Van Halen fan club that exists in like the West End of Paris, France. They're very niche. They're very specific. The only Van Halen albums that they listen to are the ones that feature Sammy Hagar on lead vocals. They call themselves Lagar.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, pop culture reference. You didn't think I'd get it this time, did you?
This is a pop culture reference of a Van Halen cult following that loves Sammy Hagar. And so this Lagar. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Randy Meyer from BARRA of Mendocino. What do you think of Lagar?
I'm going wine term.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I was thinking pop culture at first, but thinking it may have some French overtones in there somewhere. I'm going wine. Probably wrong, but I'm going to stick with it.
All right. Randy's going wine term flat out. John Ruyak.
Well, you say lagar, and I was like, is that like Spanish for the gar, if gars are female fish? But then pop culture reference, like Sammy Hagar. I mean, really, if it was a cult, if it was a Van Halen cult that only listened to the albums "Women and Children First" and "Fair Warning," then maybe I'd agree with it.
Obviously,
but anybody who owns Diver Down wasted their money.
Right.
I think that this is yeah, I'm thinking it's a wine term, but it's got something to do with some sort of method or barrage type of thing.
Okay. All right. Any country specific or
That could be Eastern European, actually.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds somewhat French, but it could be Eastern European. So maybe some sort of cooperage type of deal from Eastern Europe.
All right,
referencing wine.
We've got 2 wine and 1 pop culture reference for Sammy.
I'm gonna hang up and take my points off air.
Okay. Lagar is in fact a wine term. So 2 players got it right tonight. In Spain and Portugal, it is a rectangular concrete receptacle in which people tread grapes, usually associated with port production. Lagar. Uh-oh. Where's my mouse?
Wow.
I'll hesitatingly take that point.
Right now, hey!
Hey, even though it was Van Halen, it was still pretty. That was pretty cool. I mean, you made that up with incredible. You're a quick thinker.
Oh,
I'm nothing if not a student of the bullshit compendium.
Don't stroke his ego anymore that he already has.
Randy, you're my favorite guest.
All right, Randy Meyer, BARRA of Mendocino. So you joined BARRA in 2019. 2019 was your first vintage, is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Summer of 2019.
Back in the summer of 2019.
Back when things were normal. We actually had lives and
right.
Yeah.
So what was it about BARRA that made you want to make the move? You were a senior winemaker at Geyser Peak. So what was it about BARRA that made you want to make that move last summer?
Yeah, well, I'll make it quick, but actually the job I had prior to Geyser Peak, I was making wine with my old college fraternity brother. We had a bulk wine business, and we did a lot of winemaking for others. And actually, I was a client up at Redwood Valley Cellars and had been up there for 8 harvests and knew Sean and who is the son and part owner with Martha Barra and Shelley Maley, and they had reached out to me because they needed someone to come up and oversee things, and knowing that I had many years of custom winemaking experience, making wine for others as well as ourselves. So they're like, you know what, hey, would you be interested in coming up and leading the winemaking team for us? And I said, you know what, I love it up there, love the people, like the area, and it was just a perfect fit. So we worked out the details, and I really enjoy it. It's a great challenge. We're making a lot of wine, and it's just a lot of fun up there. It's different and it's unique, and I get to make so many varieties. We'll go on later with the interview, but there's a lot of cool things about it that just working at a small winery you don't get to do.
Okay, yeah, that's true. And so I think is this the first time you're at a director level at a wine organization?
Yes. I played essentially senior winemaking roles and general manager roles. I did some gory relations, but the director title is the first for me. So it's it's nice to get there.
And so what are you doing with the winemaking? Are you really or I guess the question I was more interested in is they were making wine a certain way when you came in. Are you continuing to make the wine the way they want to, or are you putting some Randy twists into the wine as you get through your vintages?
Well, it's always a sensitive topic, right? Because you don't want to go in there and slam your elbows in there and say, this is the way we're going to do it.
Right.
Essentially what you do is you go in there and learn how it's done and certainly, follow the rules with what's winning. I make subtle suggestions here and there, and we've made some, what we'll call kind of evolutionary changes, hopefully for the better, and just looking at a few things that I like to do that may be slightly different than what's been done in the past. But we're not trying to jump off the script too heavily either, just trying to make sure and refine and make sure that the wines are meet people's expectations and certainly, no flaws and getting the most out of the vineyards we can. And winemakers have egos, if you guys haven't figured that out already. So we're always trying to manage expectations, and I'll be honest, I hate losing. So it's always fun to try to bring in what and your expertise, but also try to work within the winning combination. Mm-hmm. So it's a delicate balance, and you don't want to go in there and pretend you know it all, and then have the folks that have been drinking it forever say, "What in the world happened?"
Right. Awesome, Jeff.
I was just thinking about how, Randy, this is the show for you.
Right.
This is the show for you, because what is this show if not a wine, beer, spirit type of show? We know your wine game is legit. I'm looking at your bio here. You worked at Russian River Brewing for a while?
Well, here's the story with that. And, obviously, whenever I talk about Russian River, I want to be careful to acknowledge that Russian River wouldn't be Russian River if it weren't for Vinny Salerzo and Natalie Salerzo, because the Vinny came to me in 1997 when Korbel and me and I was part of Korbel at the time in winemaking, yet I minored in brewing at Davis, and brewing was my first love. And I was able to convince the owner, Gary Heck, to start Russian River Brewing Company. I came up with the name, and we had to actually buy the web name off of someone to have the rights to it. And, the original kind of tree with the Russian River, Sonoma County over the top, those were some of the very beginnings. And, Vinny came to me, and I went, "Oh my God, the guy's 27 years old. He's brewed over 1,000 batches. You're hired." Because I knew that, hey, I was, brewing was a hobby for me and a love. I had the scientific knowledge, but let's be honest. I mean, commercial brewing is a hell of a lot different than brewing in a 15-gallon keg. So, I knew that I needed someone with some smarts to make it fly. And, that had to be the best hire I ever made in my life, because look at what's happened to Russian River, and it blossomed, after Korbel exited, and Vinny, did all the right moves, and, just works his butt off. He and Natalie, I don't know such hard workers. I mean, that guy, I'd try to help him out, and I'd just be getting in the way. I'd be like, "Okay, Vinny, I'll go try to sell."
Did he when you left, did he just send you with every year you get your own keg of Pliny the Younger just because?
Well, it's funny because I tend not to try to go out and mooch any beer off him, but he's always been gracious every time I've talked to him. And, obviously I'm just so thrilled to see how successful they've become. And, the new brewery in Windsor is really unbelievable. Oh, it is crazy. It's sick. I'll use the term. It's amazing.
Everybody go on a tour of that when you get a chance. It's insane. So let's go back even further. Korbel, did you hone your spirit game there?
Oh yeah. And actually, that it's kind of, I guess I should joke that I've just kind of, the adult beverage business has been my whole life, from brandy to, high proof to, everything. But, actually at Korbel, Korbel brandy at the time, it was around 400,000 cases. And we had a big plant down in Bakersfield with a massive still. We'd make all our brandy down there, age it in old Jack Daniels barrels. And Korbel has an agreement with Brown-Forman for all the distribution. So what's Brown-Forman? Jack Daniels. So, we'd get all the Jack Daniels barrels. So I learned a lot about brandy making and, all the weird lingo involved, and, talking about proof gallons versus wine gallons. It took me a while to even understand what that meant. But once you get it, then you just really enjoy the process. So I was blessed at Korbel because it was bubbly, table wine. Then we owned Kenwood for a long time. Then we had, Russian River. So, and and we even had a table wine brand too. So it was something else.
Wow. And I'm
It was
even
a good run.
gonna throw a pop culture reference in there as well. Pee-wee's Playhouse, episode 1. Pee-wee's making ice cream soup. Everything's going great. And then who puts too much chocolate in the ice cream soup? Randy.
Good job, Randy.
By the way, everybody please go back and watch episode 1 of Pee-wee's Playhouse. Greatest thing ever. Because every kid is watching that and they're like, wait a second, he barely put any chocolate syrup in the ice cream soup. That's ridiculous. And then Randy comes in and jumps all over the pump, and then there's a beautiful amount of chocolate syrup, and Pee-wee's all upset. He's like, what am I supposed to do? But then Conky says, I know what to do. Add more ice cream.
There it is.
And this is where Randy Meyer learned about blending.
Oh, and the art of blending is what it's all about.
It is an art. It is truly an art. John Ruyak.
So I was going to ask another question, but since we're kind of on this topic of bringing up your very diverse career, if you could, in just I don't know how short an answer this could be, but kind of explain not the technical differences, but the cultural differences behind working in wine, beer, and spirits.
I must admit, John, that the cultural differences across those industries is way more severe than people would ever imagine. The beer crowd is the most fun-loving, most incredible, youthful, eclectic, way more diversity than the wine crowd could ever dream to be. And the spirits crowd, that's an element that I can honestly say I probably have the least experience with the spirits people. But I know that's pretty cutthroat, but nothing like beer.
Mm-hmm.
Making beer and selling beer has got to be one of the hardest things in the world. I remember when I first started Russian River, when we started it, I'm out there, we have beautiful packaging. I mean, I couldn't get a sniff. People were like, who are you? What is this? And it was 1997. And, you guys, I think we're talking about the breweries and the ebb and flow, and it's amazing what that business has experienced. And I find the beer crowd to be a lot less pretentious, of course, yet very knowledgeable. And then I find the wine crowd to be a lot of fun to be around, but they tend to maybe sometimes just be a little more reserved. And I feel like, honestly, in winemaking, amongst winemakers, there's more ego than there is in beer. I think brewers are a little bit more down to earth. They're more worried about, making a profit, staying alive, because margins are tight. It's not the cash cow that wine can be. So they have a lot of other concerns than wineries have. And I think that breeds a different kind of a person. When you're making beer, I mean, it generally is not a highly profitable adventure unless you get lucky or you are, you're in the right place at the right time. And, what do they say about, kind of luck and timing, coming together with preparation? That's those breweries that win, because we all know how many that have gone under, right? But, the wine business is, I really enjoy it because it's my career. Yet I knew that as much as I loved the beer business, I couldn't do it forever. I felt like sometimes it was crushed 24/7.
Yeah.
Because you can just brew 24 hours a day, all day long, year round, and it is exhausting. If you're kicking butt, it will run you into the ground. Where with crush, you know when it's going to start and you know when it's going to end.
Right. Well, brewing for me, and you were talking about, the high energy, and I'm just getting in the way. And when, people come into the brewery, it's very, especially on brew day, it's very muscle memory. I'm not talking. I'm just going to do the next thing. And if you ask me to list all the steps that I go through in a brew day, every little thing, it would be hundreds of things long, just hundreds of things long. And even on keg day, it's like, it's just muscle memory, because it's brew one day, keg the next, brew day one day, keg the next, brew one day, keg the next. And I'm just in a 2.5 barrel place, and we do 400 barrels a year. Well, when I go back to work in January, maybe, if the virus somehow goes away. But yeah, it's just, there is no time. There's no looking up in
it
brewing.
Sounds to me like you're describing what it's like to be a father of 3 young boys.
Yeah, I've been there too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that, brewing is just, it can be exhausting, but I love it so much. I'm still a total beer geek. I love talking beer. Can I talk wine? You bet. But man, when I'm on a sidebar, I love talking beer.
So taking the thing that I've always loved about beer as a guy that really entered in from the wine world is the chutzpah that beer makers have, in terms of like, yes, things definitely can be very like regimented, but you can also like have these little experiments, and you can try these different things, and you get your results in a couple of weeks, right? Like even on the palate, by the end of the month, your experiment is done. As a winemaker, and as directing what's going on with the winery, as you're having this view that's 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years down the road, does that make you more hesitant to try new things?
Without a doubt. And the one thing I've always worried about is a lot of folks are into, native and a lot of what I'll call fairly, kind of not necessarily hippie-ish, but certainly very, very, what I'll call kind of risky, high risk reward, right? I mean, you can make unbelievably amazing wines, using these native processes, but you can also completely screw them up. And then
but I want to taste the fun, man.
Yeah. And it's like, and I remember listening to this guy named Dick Arrowwood, famous winemaker, and his comment was, you know what? If I've got to throw this away, I'm going to lose all that money, and I just can't risk throwing it away. So, I've always been a bit of a commercial, strain guy, fairly middle of the road. I mean, I'll take some risks for some reward, but I tend to be a little more worried, because I feel like I'm just playing with people's livelihood if I screw it up and I got to dump it. So, I mean, that's the one thing about wine is obviously the time frame, Jeff, but just that risk versus reward. You want to be a little bit more conservative with wine, because it's hard to get it back. You get one shot.
Yeah, and beer is a little less expensive to make. So if something goes awry and you have to dump that batch, it's not a huge deal. I mean, it does represent a lot of sales. The worst part about it is you've lost the time.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy more grain, you can buy more hops, you can't buy back the time.
Right.
And that's why it's so.
So
why is the saying "go awry"? Why couldn't it be "go a wheat"? Go a corn?
Go a barley.
So Randy, you bring an interesting perspective in that you worked in all these different fields, and and you think of, I think of like in some sports. I remember there, you see these players that will be in one sport, like say it's football or wrestling or something like that, and they don't make it, or for some reason they transition to another sport. And they come in and they just dominate that sport, or they bring something completely new to that sport and possibly change it. And so I'm curious, have you seen any of that because I haven't met a lot of people that have gone from brewing to winemaking, or vice versa. But is there anything that when you come into winemaking with a brewer's mindset, or possibly, if you went back to brewing with a winemaker's mindset, is there anything that helps you or allows you to see things differently in producing one or the other?
Oh, this is a really good one, because I will lead in by saying winemakers in general are dirty and don't honestly really understand the true nature of sanitizing and cleaning. And brewing is 90% cleaning and 10% brewing. Winemaking is about maybe 60% winemaking and 40% cleaning.
Isn't it
we can
funny?
get away with murder. We got a pH of 3.5 or 3.8, and you can really kind of screw up and get away with it because you've got pH on your side. Not to get into the weeds with science tonight, but
Right.
winemakers for the longest time thought peracetic acid, which is the amazing sanitizer that I learned about in the beer business, brought it to the wine business back in the 90s because it smelt like VA and vinegar. Winemakers can't use that. That's disgusting. Little did they know it was the absolute holy grail of sanitizing, and now everybody uses it. We used to use chlorine. Where do you think all the TCA came from?
Whenever my mom calls me at work, she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm cleaning." She's, "You do a lot of cleaning." I said, "Mom, it's literally 75% of my job is to clean stuff."
You know what's funny and why I love these conversations is I would imagine that, so many of our listeners are on the other side of that bar that might think that things are totally in reverse. That the beer makers are the dirty ones and the winemakers are the clean ones.
Yeah, exact opposite.
Yeah.
And I always joke that, if you're a winemaker and you're going to go into beer, you will screw up and probably dump a few batches if you're not already the most persnickety clean freak that ever lived in a winery. That means you will have the skills to survive in a brewery. But if you're not, you're likely going to dump a batch.
I was not expecting that to be the answer, but that makes total sense. That's amazing. Jeff, anything else?
This wine is delicious. I didn't have anything on the tip of my tongue. Johnny, go for it.
So let's go way back to the beginning when you got to BARRA Wines, and it was about, you say August?
It was actually, June of 2019.
Oh, okay. So it was past blending and before harvest. So that's probably about the best time you could possibly show up to a position like that, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, you know how winemaking is. The worst move you can ever make is to quit a winery in August before crush starts.
Right.
Okay, guys, adios. Got a new job. I mean, you want to talk about blackballed forever?
Yeah.
There's the bonehead move for 1,000.
Yeah.
So usually winemakers make their moves in winter and springtime out of respect for their career and for their companies. So it's a good time to come in. It's pretty slow. You can kind of, get your feet wet, see what's happening, learn the cellar, learn your crew, and then be ready to, ready for some long days and nights.
So how'd the 2020 harvest look?
Well, as you guys know, it's still been crazy with all the fires and, I was praying in the beginning we'd get through a year without the fires. It started off okay. And then we had that weird dry lightning that kicked in. You guys probably read about that. And all hell broke loose. And oddly enough, most of Mendocino County dodged it.
Nice.
Even though it was really smoky, it was smoke that was from far distance.
Okay.
And what we learned is that the proximity of the smoke and the fire has such a massive impact on the smoke taint issues that we dodged it. Some of our clients that we make wine for at our winery did not. There are tricks that we're using to mitigate and mask and deal with smoke taint. But I would say this: if you were to take smoke taint and smoke out of the equation, this year was amazing. Quality wise, it's awesome. Crop was down, flavors are up. I mean, the wines are really good, and it's just the wines that were, say, in Dry Creek Valley in the west side, parts of Napa Valley. Those guys got hit pretty hard. Parts of Russian River, lower Russian River.
Yep.
But a lot of those guys didn't pick. So it's making wine pretty valuable because we had a short crop to begin with, and then you had the fires.
Yep.
So add those on top of each other. The supply's short, which was fine because we were long for a few years, and everyone was struggling. So Mother Nature has a way of kind of equalizing, right? Well, that did happen, but like I try to tell people, don't think of 2020 as just smoke, because the wines are killer. They're good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, a quick story, and then I did have some questions, just because you were talking about fire. And recently, my buddy who lives pretty deep in Boulder Creek, in the Santa Cruz Mountains, he was really
They got hit.
Oh yeah, he was fortunate in the sense that, like, some of folks might have seen like pictures of like Big Basin and like the Boulder Creek Country Club, and they live close to there. All the houses around them lost, his house untouched, but his property runs pretty far up this hill, and he likes to forage for mushrooms. Obviously, anywhere that fire hit, no mushrooms that they're dealing with right now. But he's walking through this area, and he sees a tree that had recently fallen like the day before. He's like, that looks different. He walks up in that direction. The roots were still smoking from the fires. Like, I mean, wow. You talk about like the impact of that stuff. Like it's intense. It's long lasting. Physically, we still see those things. You talked about, Randy, the joy that you have being able to work with such a variety of different wine grape varieties. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. Like what do you love about being able to work with so many different varieties? And then if you have to, and I know it's like picking a favorite child, do you have a favorite variety that you get to work with?
I do. Well, first I'll say, as far as all the different varieties, the cool thing about it is, I'm 30 plus years into doing this. So, what you look for is something that, is out of the ordinary, and being able to make all those varieties just keeps it interesting. It's just kind of like a brewer, you probably have beer styles you love to make, and then, maybe others not so much, but that you loved that just journey of start to finish and what's going to end up, and that's the neat thing about winemaking, is that, number one, it's agriculture, Mother Nature. You never know what you're going to get. Every year's different. Even though I think it was like my 36th harvest, you still get the butterflies. It's still an amazing experience. And what's fun for me is that all those different varieties have their own personalities, and you learn a lot about, my joke is, I call all the tanks, they're like my patients. And you're this doctor making rounds. So during harvest, you got your clipboard, right? Just like the doctor going through how you doing? How you feeling today? What do we need? What's your prescription? You're going out there and you're basically taking their temperature, looking at their health, looking at their vitals, and you're making some decisions. And that's really, what we're doing with sometimes, over 100 tanks at a time, during the day. And the cool thing is, you've got, big, bold Cabernets to, gnarly petite Syrahs, all the way to really delicate Pinot Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc, Muscat, Canelli, even, things that are the absolute polar opposite of a petite Syrah. and all styles in between on Chardonnay, oak, no oak. So it's kind of a neat journey to be able to play around with all the varieties. Sangiovese, it's a unique one on its own too. We do some of that. I love making Pinot Noir, but I'll be damned if it isn't just a wine that'll drive you nuts. It's just the most fickle, sensitive, emotional wine you can ever make. But it's just a lot of fun because when it comes out nice, man, you want to ring the bell.
I want to be harvested now.
That's it. Oh, your color's a little sensitive today. What's the matter? Oh, you're a little stinky. What's the matter with you? The next day, you're fine.
Adjust my canopy.
Good thing Randy has an excellent bedside manner. I
learned that from my dad. My dad's a pediatrician, so
okay.
I was going to be a doctor before I got my C in chemistry, and that canned that.
Well, then you went into winemaking.
That's it.
Okay.
It's interesting. I wanted to be a baker, but I couldn't raise the dough.
Oh, Jeff.
Jeff or John, any other before we move on?
No, I'm questioned out.
Favorite variety?
Favorite variety? I have two. Sauvignon Blanc. Well, I should say Pinot Blanc to make Martha happy because, that is our delicate white. They're basically made the same way. But honestly, making crisp, clean Sauvignon Blancs probably harkens me back to my Cuvée days. But there is nothing like a super tight, crisp, delicate Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Blanc. And then I would have to say with reds, it's a toss-up between Pinot and Zinfandel. Zinfandel I can bang my head against the wall because it can be so difficult with raisins and alcohol and stuck fermentations. But Pinot Noir, again, if you've got great grapes, it is such an amazing, amazing wine to make. So I'd say that's Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Blanc on the whites, and then Zin and Pinot Noir on the reds.
So I have a question then about Zin and stuck fermentations. Is that because it's such a dense fruit that there isn't a lot of oxygen in the fruit to allow it to completely ferment, or why does it stick?
Two things. One is it's usually high bricks, so it's got a lot of sugar in it. It's got raisins. Zinfandel's a weird grape because it's very uneven. So you're basically picking on the amount of raisins. How many raisins are in there? What's the right raisin content? How much is it going to soak up? That kind of thing will literally control what's going on with Zin, and it tends to be nutrient poor. So, and its alcohol sometimes pushes 16.
Yep.
So and it's just for whatever reason, the damn grape just wants to stick, and it doesn't like to go through malolactic fermentation either. So sometimes you bang your head against the wall because you want to get the sulfur in it to protect it, but it hasn't gone through ML, and sometimes it won't do that until springtime. So it's just this painful waiting game where Pinot Noir, you can just not even inoculate it practically, and it'll go through malolactic by itself. But Zin, you might have to inoculate it 2 or 3 times to get it to, go through the secondary malolactic fermentation. I'm sure you guys have talked about in other shows.
Yep. Awesome. All right. One last chance, guys. Any other questions?
Okay.
I know it's been an awesome conversation. It was fun. But anything else, John or Jeff?
Once the chat devolves into poop jokes, I think we're...
Well, that's pretty much the Thanksgiving table in my house my whole life. If it doesn't get to like poop and puke, then it wasn't a good family Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, totally.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, Randy, thank you so much. That's good. That's going to do it for the Q&A portion of the show. We got a little bit to wrap up here. If you want to stick around with us, we'd love to have you.
Oh, sure.
All right. So Jeff
Petit Syrah's got to go somewhere.
Let's get into... We've got a new iTunes review, Jeff Solomon, and I think this writer specifically wanted you to read it for him.
We sure do. From Fuller Global, whoever the hell that is, on the Apple iTunes or the Apple Podcasts. The title of the review is "I was not paid for this review," and the review says, These knuckleheads are an alcohol consumption podcast colossus, producing more content before 8 a.m. than most libation podcasts do in a month. Gall darn it, Cody, Fuller Global, thank you so much. I'm assuming it's a 5-star review, because if it ain't, well, that's pretty effed up, bro.
It was a 5-star review.
There you go.
You're not following the notes, it seems. You're not following the notes. You must be looking at your own phone to do that review.
It said 5 stars. Oh, it said 5 stars.
Cody, thank you so much.
If he could, he would have made it a 4.9. That's just how he rolls.
We appreciate that. All right. We're at the hour, but John really wanted to do it.
I only wanted to mention it. It's not really a news story. It was just a pictorial that MSN put on about.
Hey, Eccles has to play the stinger. That's the whole reason why I wanted to do it. He doesn't give a shit about your story.
I don't care what you got to say. I just want to say. Booze News. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or sometimes something we find. John Ruyak.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have anything else to say. No, okay. So we're not really going to talk about it, but there's a nice pictorial that MSN put together, and the title of it was the cost of a beer the year you turn 21, and it goes all the way back to 1950, all the way up through 2019 or 20, but they don't really have numbers. The interesting thing is the cost of a 16-ounce beer, and it shows you the number of breweries in the United States throughout each of those years, and you can just see this.
This is a draft beer in a bar? Yeah. Okay.
The cost of a 16-ounce draft beer in a bar. And it starts at like 23 cents, and then it has an inflation adjustment. But you can just see the curve of breweries going down and then shooting back up. So it takes you 5 minutes to get through it, but it's pretty cool to just kind of go through those things. So
watch the ride.
I'm gonna go check that later, but I want to say, when I was 21 years old, the cost of I'm gonna say a good beer on draft when I was 21, way back in I think it was the year 2000. I think, yeah, way back when. Baby. Yeah, right? Wow, it might have been. Yeah, I guess I'm old.
Shut up, Sullivan.
I think it might have been like $3 or $4, maybe.
I remember going out.
I could get a bottle of PBR in a bar for $2, and that's what I usually
for quarter draft and 10-cent wing night.
There you go.
That's irresponsible.
Yeah, I had dollar pitchers at the Grad.
There you go. Yeah. Dollar pitchers at the Rusty Nail.
I tell you what, that's something living in Colorado, you don't see pitchers. Pitchers aren't a thing out here.
I have not seen a pitcher since I think I saw one pitcher in 2010. And it was
because not a thing out here either.
It was because they had a beer pong set up, and they're like, I guess we'll give you this pitcher.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, in a bar, a pitcher of our double IPA would cost $36, right?
You get like 10 people wasted.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, if we're talking about pitchers of $36 pitchers of IPA, it must be
last
call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we do here, folks. We're looking for a little bit of help from you. John Ruyak, if the folks want to follow us on the social media platforms, how can they do so?
That would be, find us at Twitter. We like drinking 1, the numeral 1. Instagram, we like drinking. And as mentioned before, our private Facebook group known as the Tavern, we like drinking.com/tavern.
Also, remember to follow BARRA on Instagram at BARRA of Mendocino. Jeff Solomon, if the folks want to be like Fuller Global, and leave a review of the show and give us a big fat 5 stars, how can they do so?
If you want to be like Cody, I think you start with a 0 RB draft strategy. But then what you do is you go to Apple Podcasts and you leave us a big fat 5-star review. Yeah, let us know what you thought of our show. Also, let us know what you think about 0 RB draft strategies. Is it effective or is it lucky?
There you go. Randy, I guess we forgot to ask, are all of your wines available for purchase on the website?
Yes, you have BARRA of Mendocino.com. I think we've got some good deals going right now as well. Obviously we'd love folks to come visit the website and, certainly experiment with a few different wines. And obviously we want to find something you love, so you come back and order a second time. And certainly, obviously with this whole coronavirus thing, visiting is not as easy, but we'd love to have you come see our really cool tasting room and meet us in person.
And we walked through some of what you have, but you got a Pinot Blanc, you've got a Chard. Do you have a Chardonnay? Do I see a Chardonnay?
Yes, we do. We have two different Chardonnays. We have the BARRA and the Girasole. The BARRA is a little more traditional Burgundian. Girasole, more crisp, clean. Just a kiss of oak. Then we have, of course, Zinfandel, Pinot Noir. We even have a little Muscat Canelli that's arrested for the sweet tooth. We've got some intense Petite Syrah port also for the sweet tooth that's made off that same Bella Collina ranch. So, we got a whole variety pack. We can keep you busy.
Hold up. Whoa. I know the show's coming to a close, but Randy, you are suggesting that we need to arrest people with sweet teeth?
Arrest them with Muscat Canelli.
Yes. Put them in the chains.
That's it.
Now
get their blood sugar through the roof.
If loving sweet wines is a crime, I don't want to be wrong.
You're in. Get your butt up there, Jeff. You're not in Colorado. You're in California. You can come up and see me.
I need to. I need to get out of this house. That's what I need.
We had a trip planned for April where we're going to be out that area, but that's all been put on hold.
Dude, the redo. The redo.
Now
we'd love to have you guys. Seriously, it'd be fun.
We'll be there, cool. And Russian River Brewing. We're going to hit them all.
Yeah, we'll do it.
All right. So if you're listening and you're doing everything we say, you followed us on all the social media platforms. You've gone and you've left us a 5-star review. You've gone and ordered a case of wine from Randy of all the different things. There's one more thing you can do for us, personal help for us. You can become a patron of the show by visiting welikedrinking.com/pledge and find out for as little as $1 a month how you can keep our show trudging along year after year. We just love doing it, but we just need that little help from you. So anything you can do to help us would be much appreciated.
What if you bought us a pint frozen at your age of 21 once a month for the rest of your life?
There you go. Oh, Rhett just showed up.
Rhett's gonna do it.
You can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/episodes. Rhett, seriously, it's not that you just showed up that we're saying we're out of here. It's just you've showed up at a wrong time. But it's the time of the show where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the light. John Ruyak.
I've had this cold or whatever it is since Thanksgiving, and I've got all that turkey left over. I don't know what to do with it. Any suggestions would be great. I don't want to make soup. I'm sick of soup.
At this point, throw it away.
Throw it away. at this point.
Are you giving me permission? All right.
Yeah, toss it. Jeff Solomon.
I wanted to say, I want to make public a little private wager that us three panelists have that is not involving money because everyone's going to be a winner at the end of this. But I just wanted to like get some feelers from everybody. Maybe leave it in your Apple Podcast review. John Ruyak, Jeff Eccles, and myself are going through, because we all realized we packed a couple LBs on during this quarantine. We are doing a weight loss competition over the next 2 months from this earlier Sunday until high noon on Sunday, January 31st. Whoever loses the highest percentage of weight wins. Y'all listeners and even y'all viewers, you don't even know our measurements. I just want to know, who do you think's going to win?
I'll just say Jeff Solomon got fat over the coronavirus.
How dare I shared you those numbers because I trusted you.
We're not going to say what they are, but holy shit.
On my tiny little frame.
I am surprised that you gained 10 pounds from Saturday.
Day.
That was surprising. That was amazing. You must have really packed the stuffing on.
Maybe I knew there was an initial weigh-in and I carb loaded and drank a bunch of water. I don't know.
Randy Meyer, any final thoughts before we let you get out of here?
Well, I think I'd just like to say it was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. It's this is a fun podcast and video show. This is the kind of this is one for me. This is a good time, and it was really fun chatting with you gents.
Awesome.
I appreciate it very much.
Randy, you are our people. As we said earlier, you're a wine guy, a spirit guy, and a beer guy. You be our people. So yeah.
Cheers to you.
Absolutely. Randy, thank you so much for taking the time out to join us. We had a lot of fun talking to you. This is one of those times where I'm like, we should just make this a 2-part show and just keep going. It's like we could
I'm ready. You guys want to go more? We'll do it some other day for sure.
Absolutely. We would love to have you back on. But again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us. We really appreciate it. And it was great to get to know you a little bit.
No, we appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast. Where you'll never drink alone.
And see, it's cracked knuckle season in the Solomon house. Oh my
Cody,
God.
grab me a pitcher. I'm in.
Yeah, a picture of jalapeno noir.
I don't know, Randy. Did you see that? The Taco Bell was releasing a jalapeno noir up in Canada.
Oh,
it's not actually
we're supposed to fight
with
veg, not promote it, right? I mean, holy cow!
It's not actually flavored with jalapeno. Everybody, it's a Pinot Noir at Taco Bell for what? $20?
$20.
I think it's sold out.
I do that.
Yeah,
I totally would.
I do that.
Some chalupas and
yeah. Remember the old dozen tacos in the box, and you just plow them.
59, 79, 99. Hell yes,
Yeah.
They retired the Mexican pizza. How can I show my face in there if they don't have a Mexican pizza anymore?
Yeah, that's harsh. But
chat-
at least you can chug some Pinot Noir while you're doing it.
Nacho fries. Fire.
Randy, the chat is lighting up with people thanking you for joining. They loved the interview. So,
great,
good stuff.
That's wonderful.
Did you like
Thank
it,
you
Kara?
for the opportunity, guys.
Absolutely. So, Randy,
We're all wrapping up. You want to say hi? Okay. She loves the Coro Mendocino.
Nice. That's good.
So, Randy, hold on a second. Viewers,
Sure.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will check you next week. What's next? Oh, next week, listeners. Next week.
Tequila?
No. Next
Whiskey.
week. Make sure you're here next week, guys. No, that's January, Jeff.
What the fuck's next week?
We got the OG winemaker on next week. Stu Smith. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Stu's going to be on next week. So viewers, tune in for that one. It's always it's always an adventure when Stu's on. So
You want to talk about fires with
Fire up
Stu
some
Smith?
weed eaters, some gas powered weed eaters.
that's right. All right. So viewers,